Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Royal with Paternity University. This is not going to be a quick video. It's probably going to be about maybe 10 minutes of me talking. But I recently closed on a business. I bought a brick and mortar business. I bought into a franchise called Any Lab Test Now. And Any Lab Test Now is a direct access medical testing franchise business with about 207 locations across the states. It allows for people to kind of go directly to the place and get toxicology testing, blood work done, DNA testing, STD testing done. They pay cash. They don't have to have a doctor's order, and they don't need to have insurance to test. So it's a pretty, remarkable business system. And I want to talk about how I found out this business was for sale, how I found out about the business in general, just how the whole thing went down. Because to be honest, you don't really see a lot of Black entrepreneurs buying businesses, especially on something like seller financing, buying existing businesses. You don't see that a lot. So I want to give my testimonial on that specifically. So I'm in the office, my back office right now of the location. And it's not, as you can see, it's not very decorative. It's just a light and a desk and a chair in here. How I found out about the business and what I knew about it. So a couple of years ago, when I was in the Bahamas for my honeymoon, I needed to outsource a DNA test. And the location that I originally sent them folks to, they messed it up. They messed up my DNA test. And so while I was in the Bahamas, I was like, man, what other place can I outsource my DNA test to? Like, can I send my clients to get the collection done? And I came across this place called Any Lab Test Now. And I was like, what's that? I called and I asked the woman working there, I said, hey, is there, can I send my clients to y'all, can you do the test for me and, under my account number? And they said, yeah, absolutely, we can do that. It was a godsend because I was 2,000, 3,000 miles away in the Bahamas. There was no way I was going to be able to take care of my clients like that. So I sent them there. The woman did the DNA test properly. She did it right. She treated the customers right. Excellent customer service. And she charged me a fee to do the collection. And so that's how I heard about Any Lab Test Now. So I'm full-time military. All right. So I can't do all the tests myself. I had to outsource most of them. 99% of my tests are outsourced. Okay. So over 2 years, I would send all my clients over to her, to that location. And so, we developed a relationship. I eventually met one of the owners over time. And just, we were cool. And about 3 months ago, I just dropped by one day to say hello, and I saw that somebody else was looking at buying the place. And I was like, okay, that's cool. That's pretty neat. Somebody wants to buy it. Okay, great. And flashback a little bit further than that, maybe about a year prior to that, my wife told me, hey, maybe one day you should look into buying one of these places, buying an Any Lab or setting up that franchise. And I was like, I don't know, maybe I gotta get more money, because the cost of setting one up, is pretty high. And so I found out that those people that were gonna buy the place, I found out later that they pulled out of the deal. They didn't want it anymore. I dropped by again, and the medical assistant that works there was like, hey, bro, they're not buying this place no more. And I was like, oh man, that sucks, okay, whatever. And she said to me, actually, Ro, I think you'd be the perfect person to buy it. You understand customer service. You're kind of in this industry as DNA testing, etc. So I think you should buy it. And I was like, all right, how much? She told me how much they were kind of trying to sell it for. And I was thinking, like, I don't have that amount of money, at the time, not on hand, cash on hand. No, I don't have that amount of money. And she was like, Mr. Banks, you should really look into it. I was like, all right. So I contacted the owner. And I was like, hey, I heard you still were selling, what's up? And she said, if we would have known that you were interested in possibly buying this place, we would have contacted you the minute the other people pulled out the deal. So there we go. I entered into initial conversations. And it was honestly really good. All right, so around July of this year, 2023 timeframe, I eventually sent what is called a letter of intent to the owner. I talked to the husband as well, and let him know that I was interested in buying. He let me know what his pain points were, what their pain points were as husband and wife of owners. They didn't have time to manage the place. They didn't have time to do marketing. They both worked very busy jobs. They had kids, and he was all over the state all the time. They didn't have time, and that was their pain point. And so they knew that the business had a lot of potential to do very, very well, but they just didn't have time. And honestly, they just wanted to sell to somebody who had the time to really attend to the business. And so I submitted a letter of intent, which in the business world and the acquisition world is you letting somebody know that, hey, I intend to at least do due diligence to possibly buy this business. All right, that's the first step. And there's templates online, or you can reach out to a lawyer, but you can submit that. And by the way, I am not a complete pro when it comes to acquisitions. This is my very first one, and I'm still learning. All right, so some of you folks that are out there that do M&A and acquisitions and buying small businesses and all that stuff, y'all might be like, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't fully know exactly 100% of everything. All right, I'm just gonna let you know my experience. So submitted a letter of intent, and then that letter said, hey, we got 90 days to go do due diligence. And due diligence is reviewing profit and loss statements. It's reviewing bank account statements. It's reviewing balance sheets. It's talking to the seller about the business itself, about marketing, about clientele, everything. What's the lease, everything, like what's the numbers, and you're crunching the numbers. Ideally, that is what you're doing. And so over the course of, it probably took about a month maybe to do that due diligence and get that information, pull that information out of, hey, I need the last 3 years of profit and loss statements. I need your bank statements from the last 12 months so I can go in and see exactly what you guys were making. All right, bank statements don't lie. Just everything possible. And one of the situations is also you're kind of negotiating constantly with the seller, like, hey, what price they wanted, X amount, $100,000. All right, X. Let's just say they wanted $100,000. All right, they wanted that amount of money. And, I'm looking at their bank statements, I'm looking at their sales, I'm looking at their net profit, and I'm like, I don't really think it's worth that amount, but okay, you're just constantly in communication, going back and forth on what, number one, they think the business is worth more than what they're gonna get because they're emotionally tied to the business, but the numbers speak for itself. When you're looking to acquire a business, you wanna look at the sales, and you want to look at the expenses, and you want to look at what's left over pre-tax to determine what the sales multiple is, what the multiple. So if they profited $50,000 in the last year, even the last 2 years on average, right? You want to do a multiple. What do you want to buy it for? 2 to 3 times that amount, depending on the industry. Some industries, it can be 10 times that amount of the profits, the net profit. Those are usually tech. But most of the time it's 2 to 3 times of the net profit. And so that's what you want to make an offer. So if you made $50,000 in the past year, you want to say, okay, well, I want to buy it for $150,000. If they made $50,000 in profit in the last year, but they want $2 million for the company, and they're only a accounting or bookkeeping or a medical facility, then it's probably not worth it. You'd have to check to see what other ones are selling for. Those are called comps or comparisons. And so we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and it was over time. And I was thinking, okay, how am I going to get this X amount of money for a down payment? All right. And this is where you learn to leverage the existing assets that you have. So I didn't go to the bank and get a bank loan. All right. I didn't want to get a bank loan from the bank and have them go through all the, all this other stuff. I have a military TSP, which is your 401k for the military, for the government. And I had X amount of money in there, and you can take out a loan from your TSP. And so I took out a loan from my TSP for part of it. And I said, okay, that's the amount. I'm going to put X amount down, right? Originally. And it's just part of it wasn't really working out, like the down payment. We were structuring the terms of the deal. By the way, we were doing something called seller financing, and that's what I did. So I didn't buy it cash outright. We determined it'll be just like a house. It'll be a down payment, and then over the course of X amount of years, I would pay a monthly payment plus interest to sat directly to the sellers. All right, and you work that out yourself. You don't work that out with the bank. You work that out with through yourself. So let's say if it's $100,000, you could put down $20,000, and the remaining 80 you pay to them over the next let's just say 10 years, and you make a monthly payment plus interest of 8, 9, 10%, maybe whatever you work out directly to them with an agreed upon promissory note and that contract. Okay. And so we were getting to that point, and there was a part where I remember speaking to a lawyer, and she told me I didn't have enough money to buy the business. I took out a loan of at least $20,000 or so, and she told me that I needed $100,000 cash to buy this. She said, I don't think you have enough. And I got offended, and I even got I started doubting myself, like, dang, man, like, am I really ready to buy this? Like, do I really not have enough money? Am I really, whatever? And we'll get into a little bit later, but yeah, you do need a little bit more money. You can't just have exactly what you need to buy a business. You're going to need some more floating capital, some more working capital to have on reserves, just in case, something happens and you're not making your sales and you still got to pay your rent, for the building. So you need to have that. So leverage your assets, leverage your existing assets that you may have. So as we got closer, I had to get corporate approval. So from the franchisor, I had to get approval from the franchisor. And so that was a whole, 45-day thing where I'm on these calls. I had to sign an NDA. I had to, I was eventually sent something called an FDD, a franchise disclosure document, which is for them was about 100 something pages of all the information about the franchise. Hey, this is what the corporate structure is like. This is who the CEO is. This is who the director of business development is. This is what, the average store makes, in the past year in 2022. This is what the top quartile, the second two middle quartiles and the bottom quartile makes. This is how much it costs to set up a brand new one. Everything. This is the territories, this is the states, this is all the rules, this is everything. This is what you can and cannot do. This is what we do. This is what we sell. It's a whole document that they give you. And you sign an NDA first, and they give that to you. Okay. And then, at least with franchises, right? This is a franchise that I bought into. With the franchise, you receive the franchise disclosure document, etc. And as you, at least in the situation that I was in, starting to go through that kind of transition process. So for 45 days, I sat on a call with the corporate franchisor, the seller, and myself. Every week, every Monday, we would sit through and go through a list of all the things that needed to happen for this transfer to go through, because I'm buying an existing franchise from a franchisee. I did not build a new one. I did not build a new building or anything of that nature. I bought an existing one, okay? And so that went on for about 5-6 weeks or so, and it's still kind of going on. Today was my first day in the business today, and I still had kind of that transfer call because there's still overlapping things. I'm still getting used to what is what and who's who and where is where. It's a lot of information, especially in a business where I go from just doing DNA testing to be able to offer hundreds of different types of tests to people. And so as we kind of, scaled down the last few weeks, myself and the seller came to an agreement on what exactly that those terms of that deal would look like. And then finally, his lawyer actually drafted up the purchase agreement. And so what I did, I had a lawyer, I hired another lawyer, put him on retainer, and he contacted me. And after I got the purchase agreement, and he looked at it and let me know, hey, look out for this, look out for that. He also looked at the franchise agreement as well. Look out for this, that, etc. Hey, these are things to check out. Nothing was egregious in either contract, but that's what you have a lawyer do, is you hire them and you pay them. Yeah, it might be a couple $1,000s. It might be $1,500 or something like that. but you pay them money to look at these contracts to make sure they are squared away, to make sure you aren't getting screwed over. He said, "You pay me $1,500 to make sure you're not getting effed." That's what he said. That's what he said. I love it. And so as the days went on and on, I also decided to take out a home equity line of credit from my rental property. Originally, the lawyer wanted me to put up my house as collateral, which I did not want to do, but I found another way, which taking out a home equity line of credit through the bank. So now I have a line of credit, a liquid line of credit for that, additional part of that down payment that we agreed upon, and then just having liquid cash just in case things go wrong with the business. And so with closing, it was a three-tiered closing in a sense. It was the agreement between myself and the seller, okay, and all the terms, the promissory note, everything, okay. Then there was the contract between myself and the franchisor, the corporate franchisor, on what I was going to pay in royalties, what I can and cannot do, how much I have to spend in marketing a month, etc. It's a franchise, so you have to follow the system. And then the third part was the lease. Of course, I didn't sign any of those. I didn't sign the lease until we everybody agreed on everything. That was done through DocuSign. I signed the lawyer paperwork, or the franchise. The seller's agreement between myself and the seller. I think on like a Thursday night after the lawyer had checked it out, just signed it at home, DocuSign. The franchise agreement, I signed that on the way to Chipotle, on the way to the closing, signed my part of it, dropped off a check to the sellers at the place, at the collection site. They signed their stuff on DocuSign, sent it to the CEO of the company, and then I signed the lease after. That was closing. It wasn't like a house closing where everybody sits down at the table or whatever, and okay, all right, now we're gonna give you a gift basket. No, it was just, okay, show up, hey, here's your check, here you go, sign, boom, 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 DocuSign, gave me the keys to the place. They walked out, they took whatever belongings they had, over there, and that was it, and that was that. And I'm still in contact with them as well, because I'm inevitably gonna have questions. And that was on a Friday. That was on September 29th. And now it's October 2nd. And I had my first day in the business, and I had to put out a couple of fires. My medical assistant was out on the emergency for the first 4 hours, and people were walking in trying to get tests, and I just turned on my customer service mode, even though I could not administer the test that they were looking for, like the blood draws and stuff. I said, hey, come back at this time. My medical assistant's gonna be back. She can take care. And they did. And so, already making money the first day. It's a lot to learn. It's really interesting, but already making improvements in the process as well. My whole purpose is to systemize and optimize the processes. Already have done that. Went from doing mostly paper copy stuff to now doing things in a secure portal. Releasing results. The ways we're doing things already changing within the first day. So that's kind of how that all went down. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting out of the military next year, and there are moments where I'm a little afraid, like, man, I'm going into full-time entrepreneurship. And it's a little scary because that's a roller coaster ride. It's nothing super, the same, not every single day is the same, not every month the same, not every quarter is the same, but you just got to work at it. You got to take that leap of faith. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm giving myself 10 months while still in the military to prepare for when I get out of the military with this business right here. So I'm almost a year. So yeah, that's my experience so far. This is it. This is day one, full day one of owning this business right here. And I'm definitely going to provide more updates as I learn things. And yeah, that's how it all went down. So appreciate y'all listening to me. This is probably the longest video I've ever done, and just me talking. And I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope I was somewhat of an inspiration to you all. And hey, you'll continue to learn. I'll continue to learn, and I'll continue to share what I learn. And no, I don't intend to put out a course about this stuff. This is just me learning, because this is going to go for a while. So, hey, thank y'all.